The day his father called him useless, Daniel forgot how to breathe. It happened in the kitchen, under the white tube light that made everyone look harsher than they were. His school bag lay unopened on the floor. A plate of food sat cold on the table. His mother had been calling him for 20 minutes, and he had just been staring at the wall, unable to move, unable to explain the weight pressing on his chest like a sack of wet sand. His father slammed his hand on the table. "You sleep late, you miss classes, you don't help at home. What are you tired from, Daniel? Tell me. Laziness?" The word hit harder than the shouting. Lazy. Daniel looked down at his own hands. They trembled in his lap. He wanted to say, "I'm trying." He wanted to say, "I wake up already exhausted." He wanted to say, "Even brushing my teeth feels like climbing a mountain." But the words stayed trapped somewhere deep inside him, buried under shame. So he said nothing. And silence, in that house, was always taken as guilt. From that day on, the label followed him everywhere. Lazy when he didn't get out of bed. Lazy when his grades dropped. Lazy when he stopped answering friends. Lazy when he sat through dinner without lifting his eyes. His younger sister, Mira, watched everything quietly, her spoon frozen halfway to her mouth whenever the arguments began. At school, it was worse. Once, Daniel had been one of the bright ones. The teachers used to smile when they saw his name on top of exam sheets. He played football after class. He laughed loudly. He made plans. Now he sat in the last row, staring at the board while letters blurred into meaningless shapes. Homework piled up like proof of his failure. His friends stopped saving him a seat at lunch. One teacher pulled him aside after class and said, not unkindly, "You have potential, Daniel, but potential means nothing without discipline." He nodded as if he agreed. That evening he stood in the bathroom, looking at his reflection. His eyes were ringed dark, his hair unwashed, his shoulders bent like he was apologizing just for existing. He splashed water on his face and whispered to the boy in the mirror, "What is wrong with you?" The mirror offered nothing back. Days turned to weeks, then months. His room became a cave, curtains closed, clothes on the floor, books untouched. His phone buzzed less and less until it almost never did. His mother would knock softly and leave food outside his door. Sometimes he ate. Sometimes the food sat there until it went cold. One night he heard his parents arguing in the next room. "He is ruining his future," his father said. His mother's voice shook. "Can't you see he's not okay? Not okay? Everyone gets sad. Life is hard. You still get up." A long silence followed. Then his mother said something so softly Daniel almost missed it. Maybe he wants to. Maybe he just can't. Daniel pressed his fist into his mouth to stop the sound that rose in his throat. He had thought nobody saw him, but someone did. Still, seeing and understanding were different things. The real breaking point came on a Monday morning. He was supposed to present a project in class. He had worked on none of it. When the teacher called his name, 30 faces turned toward him. His legs shook as he stood. Heat rushed to his face. His heart pounded so violently he thought everyone could hear it. I didn't," he started. The room tilted. He couldn't breathe. He grabbed the desk, but the panic only grew, sharp and fast, like drowning on dry land. The teacher rushed forward. Someone opened a window. A classmate laughed nervously. Daniel heard whispers. He ran out of the classroom, down the corridor, past the assembly ground. He stopped behind the old storage building and collapsed onto the concrete, gasping, his whole body shaking. The school counselor found him there an hour later. She didn't ask why he had run. She didn't tell him to calm down. She just sat beside him on the ground, close enough to stay, far enough not to crowd him. After a while, she said, "You look like someone who has been carrying too much alone." Something inside him cracked. The tears came hard, sudden, ugly. Not the quiet tears of movies. These were years of swallowed fear, shame, pressure, exhaustion. He cried until his head hurt. "I'm not lazy," he choked out. "I swear I'm not. I try. I try so hard, but I wake up tired, and then I hate myself for it, and then it gets worse, and I don't know how to stop." The counselor's eyes softened. "I know." 2 simple words. Not judgment, not disappointment, just "I know." That afternoon she called his parents to school. Daniel sat outside the office, hands cold, expecting anger. He imagined his father's face hardening, imagined another lecture, another list of everything he was doing wrong. Instead, through the thin wooden door, he heard long silences. his mother crying, the counselor speaking gently but firmly. Then his father asked, voice lower than Daniel had ever heard it, "Are you saying my son is sick?" "Yes," the counselor said, "and he needs support, not shame." When they got home, no one spoke for a while. The house felt strange, like it had been turned inside out. At dinner, his father cleared his throat. He looked at Daniel, really looked at him, as if seeing him after months of staring straight through him. "I thought you were giving up," he said. Daniel's fingers tightened around his spoon. His father swallowed. "I didn't know you were fighting." The room went still. Then, in a voice rough with something like regret, he said, "I'm sorry." Daniel had imagined many things. Another argument. Another accusation. Never that. His mother began to cry silently. Mira got up from her chair, walked around the table, and wrapped her thin arms around Daniel's shoulders. For the first time in months, he didn't feel invisible. Recovery did not arrive like sunrise. It came like a stubborn candle in a storm. There were therapy sessions where he said almost nothing. Mornings when getting out of bed still felt impossible. Days when his father knocked on his door and asked, awkwardly, "Want to take a walk?" And Daniel said no. Days when he said yes. His mother started sitting with him while he ate, not asking questions, just being there. Mira slipped silly drawings under his door. Stick figures, stars, notes saying, "Come back soon, idiot." They made him smile when he thought smiling was gone from him forever. His father changed in quiet ways. He stopped calling him lazy. He learned the names of medicines. He read about depression late at night, wearing reading glasses he used to be embarrassed about. Once, while driving Daniel to therapy, he kept his eyes on the road and said, "When I was your age, I was taught to hide pain. I thought strength meant silence. Maybe that made me blind." Daniel looked out the window, throat tight. Then he said, "I was scared you'd never understand." His father gripped the steering wheel. "I was scared too. I just turned that fear into anger." Healing moved in inches. Daniel began making his bed, then attending one class, then two. He started writing again, small thoughts in a notebook. "Today I showered. Today I laughed at something Mira said. Today the sky looked less heavy." Tiny victories, but real ones. Months later, at a school event, he stood on a stage with a microphone in his shaking hand. The hall was packed. His father, mother, and sisters sat in the third row. Daniel took a breath. "There was a time," he said, voice unsteady but clear, "when people thought I was lazy because they could only see what I wasn't doing. They couldn't see the war. One was fighting just to stay here. And honestly, neither could I. But pain hidden in silence grows teeth." Speaking was the first day I started taking them back. The hall was silent. He looked at his family. His father's eyes shone. His mother pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Mira grinned through tears. "I'm still healing," Daniel said, "but now I know this. Needing help does not make you weak. Surviving long enough to ask for it makes you brave." When he stepped off the stage, his father pulled him into a hug so fierce it felt like years of distance breaking at once. And Daniel understood something then, something bigger than his own pain. Sometimes one person's fight to heal becomes a door. And when that door opens, an entire family finally learns how to walk into the light.